Hello and welcome back to Euro Football Daily, specifically Continental Club, which is back in the East Dulwich Tavern. We're on a bit of a roll with the EDT. Go check it out if you live in London or if you live abroad, just flock to it. Anyway, today I'm joined by Henry Hill and Michael McCubbin. Lads, how are we doing? McCubbs, it is boiling outside.
Absolutely is, absolutely is. By the time you're watching this, it's going to be 33 degrees in some areas of the UK. So hope everyone's staying, hydrated. And not jumping in really deep lakes or anything. At least if you can't swim.
That would be better than shallow ones, though.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, depending on from what height. But yeah, just feel like there's just always a few horror stories, aren't there, every summer with people like going into lakes when they can't swim. So yeah, anyway, enough of the downer. Hope you're having a good time and you're slapping the sun cream on. But yeah, I'm all good, Dukes. All good as ever. When it's bright, the mood's good. And yeah, lovely to be with you both.
Nice. What could be better in the EDT? Henry, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I played five-a-side yesterday, and we didn't have a sub, and it was horrible. Tracking back didn't really happen.
Is this for Zach?
You don't track back anyway, do you?
No, I don't track back. No, I'm the Ozil. I do what I want, which isn't very much.
Get the win.
4-4 draw.
Oh, so
nice.
Big draw at Vauxhall. But yeah, it was hot. It's nice. I'm completely with McCubbin though. Sun's out. It's all good.
You're glowing today, Henry.
Thank you very much. Thank you. How are you, Doogie?
Right. I'm good. Yeah, all good. All ticking along. What's been going on this week? I've actually got really into TikTok this week. It's a really fun platform.
Fishing.
I don't even think it was fishing. Anyone who's been following my Twitter this week, I think Man City's attack of Sterling, Sane and Aguero was the best the Premier League has seen in the last 10 years at their peak. I don't think it's even that controversial. It's a hot take, but it's not that controversial. Anyway, that is for another show. We should bring back hot takes maybe. But anyway, there's going to be plenty of hot takes and interesting opinions on this week's Continental Club because we've got a spicy topic, which is the player your club has to sell this summer. We had numerous suggestions when I sent out the tweet. And the first one that we wanted to talk about was at Brandon Gardenay's 2, and he suggested Neymar. Henry, you wrote a script this week about players being forced out, I think, and Neymar was included. It's been a bit of a tricky last couple of years for Neymar. Well, his whole time at Paris has been sort of up and down, let's say.
Well, yes, I thought that he turned a corner really with his time in Paris. I thought that he signed that new long contract. It looked like he was going to commit to PSG as a long-term project. But yeah, I think when you look at some point they need to kind of raise some funds. At some point they need to look like they're playing ball with UEFA's fair play and etc. Even though, well, I'm not going to say anything here. But it's Neymar looks like the person that if they had to sort of start picking apart that front line, he might be the first to go. There's talks of them going for Scamacca at the moment in the papers. All-time record high. A lot of you guys recommended Scamacca as someone that they should sell because they're going to get maximum market value for him at Sassuolo at the moment. And maybe Neymar might be the guy to go because he's had an interesting time though. I think when he's played well, he's been exceptional. 100 goals, 60 assists in 144 games. That is pretty insane numbers.
We can't doubt it.
Yeah, 1.1 goal contributions per match. But he's missed 113 games with injury. 22 in the last season. He was booed against Bordeaux, which I think a lot of people want us to talk about Bordeaux. I think we'll get onto that at some point. But topic in itself. Yeah, he was booed against Bordeaux and it just looks, I don't think that they identify with him as a Parisian. I think Mbappe is the hometown hero. Mbappe, he chose them in the face of Real Madrid. Obviously Neymar did choose them against Barcelona, but I just don't think he's ever connected with the fans. And I was reading that apparently one of the clauses in his contract is it's like an ethics clause that it requires him to say nice things about the club and to make times to talk to the fans, and he gets paid £500,000 a month just to basically make a bit of time for the fans and
be a nice person.
Be a nice, yeah. It's like a decency bonus is essentially what it is, which is it's just crazy.
His agent.
Yeah, it's just crazy these kind of silly little clauses, and I don't think it really helps him at all. It's a bit like Pogba coming out and saying 300 grand a week is
nothing.
Nothing. But yeah, I mean, the problem is with Neymar, I do like the suggestion. I do think it'd be interesting to move him on, and I would like to see him try in a different league and see what he's still got, because he's undoubtedly a star. But even in the Brazilian national side, I think Vinicius is slowly overtaking him as the kind of the main man there. I can't see anyone wanting to take him on for his personality, for his wages, for his age, for his injury history. I can't, and ultimately how much money he would cost in a lump sum fee, which would probably be in the 50, 60 million pound mark, I think, at the moment. I don't think anyone can afford him. And I just don't think that he's the personality that a lot of these clubs are looking for right now. Are Liverpool going to go for him? No. City? No. Spurs? No. I mean, anyone that could really anyone that could really afford him, I just don't think he fits. Yeah. He just fits anything what they're looking for. Bayern Munich, Newcastle, yes. And Newcastle's genuinely.
Oh, sorry. He doesn't reply. He doesn't get in the same over Sam Maximan though. So.
Like, Bayern Munich is the only thing I was racking my brains for, and even there, I don't think they'd ever go for him. But it's a really tricky one. I don't think he's going to go anywhere because I don't think it's possible. He earns some ridiculous kind of money on close to €500,000 a week. Yeah, I think he
has it absolutely made there, doesn't he? Like, there's points where he's almost choosing when he can play. Like, obviously his fitness record is pretty. Otherwise, like, yeah, like. I feel like he'll just be there till the end of his contract at this point. Like,
he's not a lazy player when he's on the pitch. He actually works quite hard. His defensive numbers, I think, were the best out of Mbappe, Messi, and him last season. Messi's just a free hit for them to have for another year. So he's a good player when he's on form. I just think it's just
when he's fit,
he can switch.
Yeah, when he's fit, I think he is one of the top 5 players in the world. He's just so rarely fit, and that is a massive issue if you're paying those enormous wages and paid that huge transfer fee. Has it been a total flop? No, but for that money, it's not been a good success either. It comes quickly before we move on to the next one. I mean, Scamacca and Skriniar in particular. I mean, that's two quite interesting signings. Skriniar in particular, I think, is an excellent player. Scamacca maybe a little bit more risky, given that he's only had that one really exceptional year.
Yeah, I mean, PSG, I think, have needed to invest in centre backs. Since they lost Thiago Silva, I think Skriniar would be a really good partner for Marquinhos. I'm still not overly convinced by Kimpembe, if I'm honest. I think he probably gets too much stick because he does, he's a bit error prone, and there are other areas of the game where he is good, but like, I still don't think he's an elite centre back. I think Skriniar is. Scamacca is, super weird, I think. And I guess, is that a sign that like Mbappe is quite happy to play on the left or right? Like, I kind of thought when Mbappe signed on the dotted line finally that maybe, part of that was that, like I'm going to be the central, attacker, and, that's it. A little bit like kind of what Messi kind of demanded when he was at Barcelona, just like, that this is going to be me. But clearly, maybe he's not, not too fussed, and he would prefer to kind of play in a more kind of free role on the left. I don't know. I'm not sure about Scamacca, if I'm honest, to PSG. It doesn't. It just feels a bit weird. I don't know. Don't know why. After one season, like to be fair, he scored so many bangers this year. Like, he does look like he could be a star, but yeah, it is only 1 year. I feel like you would want to wait before like putting 40-50 million down on him. But like Henry says, now probably is the time to sell him for Sassuolo, because I don't know whether he'll reproduce that next season.
Yeah, it does feel a little strange, and also Galtier is supposedly nearly done. We talked about that a bit last week. I mean, he'll probably play a version of 4-4-2, which is what he did at Lille and Nice predominantly. And lots of those forward players don't really seem to fit into a 4-4-2 that effectively. Mbappe and Scamacca up front, but then where do you put Messi? I mean, Neymar's definitely going to stay, despite the fact he could be, hypothetically it's not the worst idea to sell him. So it's a little bit strange. And those midfield slots as well, are you playing Paredes or Danilo Pereira with Verratti? I don't know. Feels like a strange managerial fit for that squad, but maybe they've just decided that they need a bit of an overhaul in terms of their playing philosophy.
I mean, equally, Galtier, like, he's taking on a much more talented squad than he's ever had before, right? Like, I think he's surely got to adapt. Like, I feel like he just kind of plays to his strengths, and when he arrives at PSG, he's going to have a lot of strengths in that sense.
He's certainly going to have a few options. Let's move on to our second player, which is Luka Jovic, at the suggestion of @Fayaz4233. McCub's a sadder story than Neymar in many ways.
Oh, absolutely.
Not got going at Real Madrid whatsoever.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, yeah, it's a tough one as well, because was it start of the season before last? He was kind of playing in a front two with Benzema, and there were points where he does look like, on the ball at times, he does look really good, and like he's quite a good. There was a point where I thought maybe he'll be that kind of facilitator. Maybe he'll almost play like Benzema used to play with Ronaldo. kind of picking up balls in the half space and, making good runs and kind of being a bit more of a provider. And obviously he thrived in a front two with Sebastian Haller, didn't he? But, since both of them left Frankfurt, I feel like it's become clear that Haller is the far superior footballer. It just hasn't really worked. It didn't really work back on loan at Frankfurt either, did it, for Jovic? His record at Real Madrid is nothing short of awful, is it? 3 goals and 5 assists in 51 games. 473 minutes of league and Champions League action in the season just gone. And before it was like, maybe this is a Zidane issue. I was thinking Zidane, doesn't, there are quite a few players who Zidane hasn't really taken to at Real Madrid, and you could argue kind of wasted Bale at points and kind of brought down, kind of started his downfall at the club, etc. You could also say that a player like Ceballos was kind of denied. Odegaard as well, of course. So I kind of thought Jovic fell into that category a little bit, but the fact that Ancelotti hasn't used him at all, then I know, Ancelotti doesn't have the best record with young players anyway, but if it's not worked under 2 managers, they've got to find a bar for him, and they've got to accept that they're going to only be able to get 20 to 30 million tops for him. I think there's a good player in there. He's 24 years old still. They bought him when he was so young, didn't they? And completely overspent on him. Again, a player who'd had 1 amazing season. I think I'd be quite surprised if he didn't. I'm not quite sure how long he has left on his contract. I assume only 1 or 2 years.
I think it's a couple of years.
Yeah, a couple of years. So, surely someone's got to go in for him this summer.
I just think no one touches him unless it's a loan with an option to buy at the end of it. I don't think anyone commits money to him at this point in time. You have to go. It'd be great if you went to someone like Getafe and just got minutes.
Well, I suppose he's been offered there, yeah.
He should take that. The thing that's probably going to hold him back is the wages that he's earning. Obviously, at this situation, they could probably do some kind of sharing agreement, but he might just have to just accept that this is as good as it's going to get for now, take a step back in his career in terms of where he's playing and his wages, and start again. Because I completely agree with you. There is a sign of a good player in there. He just needs a bit of confidence and a bit of pressure taken off his shoulders. Because I think at Real Madrid, same with Mariano Diaz, it's just a bit too much for them.
Yeah, definitely. Also, Benzema has put in one of the greatest individual seasons that we've seen pretty much ever. At least of the mortals rather than the aliens of Ronaldo and Messi. So, that does come into account. Ancelotti can't rest Benzema. He pretty much held up their attack for most of the year. When he did get minutes, it was at the end of games, and players just know that he's not Benzema's ability.
And also,
which isn't a crime.
Yeah, it's probable that he's just not an elite level striker, which kind of people thought he was going to be. But he's just not I'm sure he could bang 15 plus league goals for a mid-table side in a top 5 league. He's definitely capable of doing that.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that the only time he scored over 10 league goals throughout his career, which started at Partizan Belgrade, I believe, Benfica, Eintracht, was that 1 year at Eintracht, which is quite interesting. Obviously, he got quite a few assists for Haller that year as well. They were dovetailing really nicely, but it just hasn't worked out. So Jovic, good luck to you. Apparently Rayo Vallecano also interested. Apparently Monaco also looking, who are going to be pretty cash flush with that Schumanni money. So maybe that wouldn't be the worst choice. Okay, we just talked about the Bundesliga there with Jovic. We're going to stay in there for our next suggestion because at Survival Kraz 3, great name, like that, sounds a bit ominous, has suggested Torgan Hazard or Nico Schulz for Dortmund. Now, Dortmund have had actually quite an impressive summer, I'd say, despite losing Haaland. They've gone about it the right way, I think. Süle, Schlotterbeck, Adeyemi. When we talk about rebuilds, that's pretty perfect when you lose your best player. Obviously they wouldn't be better next year. They might improve in Europe and their defence might improve with Terzic, but they're unlikely to be better next year because of the loss of Haaland's goals, despite the fact he was injured for most of last campaign. But they've set themselves up to be better in the next few years than they were last season, if that makes sense, at some stage with that defensive rebuild. So fair play to them. But Survival Kraz also wants to see further changes. He wants Nico Schulz gone at left back, which I think would be a bit of a risk, to be honest, because Guerreiro only has 1 year left on his deal. There has been a surprising lack of interest in him so far this summer, I think, because I think on the ball, I think he's absolutely exceptional. I know Dortmund fans, whenever I mention him on Twitter, or I see regularly on Twitter, just say his defending's not quite up to scratch, but in a set formation, I think he could be really, really useful. I'm surprised that someone like Man City hasn't looked at him. I know they're going for Cucurella. who is also an excellent player. But I think Guerreiro would have been a great fit under Pep as well. So I think it'd be also a risk to, if they're going to lose the Portuguese fullback, to also lose Nico Schulz in the same summer. It leaves them pretty short at left back as well. And to be fair, it hasn't gone that well at Dortmund. He signed for over £20 million from Hoffenheim in 2019. He's made 63 Dortmund appearances so far, just 3 assists in that time. Got a slightly different skill set to Guerreiro in that he's a much more defensively solid fullback. It's his defensive numbers that really stand out over those attacking ones. But yeah, hasn't really been value for money for £20 million. And another player that also cost around £20 million is Torgan Hazard, who Survival Kraz again wants gone. I think Torgan Hazard's a very good player, but Henry, he has been pretty unlucky with injury, and it seems to have affected his consistency. But he did have that great year. I think it was his first year at Dortmund. He was really pretty good.
Yeah, I'm with Survival Kraz. I think I'd sell him. I've never been particularly impressed with him. I mean, reading that he's got 90 goals and assists in 146 games for Gladbach when he was there, I mean, that takes me by surprise, but I think he was ultimately just the star of the show when he was at Gladbach, and sometimes when you go to a team with better players and you sort of sink into the background a little bit, it's harder to step up again. And yeah, he's also been injured. That is unfortunate. Missed 23 games of injury in 2020-21, 13 last season. Goal contribution every 268 minutes last time. I've never really quite understood it. If there's a choice between him and Julian Brandt, I'd probably sell Torgan Hazard straight away. I'd rather keep Brandt than Hazard around. At least Brandt's going to come on and get you some goals. He's a bit hot and cold, isn't he? He doesn't ever really...
Well, Dortmund fans don't really like either of them.
They don't. He's sort of in the Asensio category of someone that seems to put a few numbers up, but people just don't like him. Yeah. But yeah, I've just never really rated Torgan Hazard. I'd sell him. If they want to continue their rebuild, maybe move him on. Yeah, absolutely.
Fair enough. There we have it. Brutal. Schulz and Torgan Hazard gone.
Yeah, I think I probably agree. I think I prefer Brandt to Hazard. I think also, I think you can't look past the injuries. The injuries have been a big problem. I think, coming into a Dortmund side when everything was going through Sancho at the time, wasn't it? I think, probably didn't help things. I think he is a quality player. But Dortmund, I think probably was always going to be his ceiling. I think now he probably still has retained some value. I think now would be the time to sell him. Otherwise, I can just see him running down his contract, or just Dortmund not being able to make anything back on him. I think now is probably the time. But equally, I'm not sure who goes in for him in a kind of. Clubs are way less willing to take risks now, aren't they? In terms of just the economic climate within European football. So it would be interesting to see if they can kind of offload into a lesser club.
Yeah, unless you're a Premier League club who seems to be pretty cash flush as usual at the moment. But I can't really see a Premier League side going for Torgan Hazard, to be honest. So maybe you're right. Maybe another move.
Brighton, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Dortmund to Brighton though. Wow. No offence to Brighton fans, but that is an enormous drop off.
Brighton are right. They were ninth last.
They're all right, but Dortmund are competing for titles vaguely, or at least in the conversation. Brighton are, not going to be competing for top 4 anytime soon. Anyway, let's move on to another suggestion, which was Alexis Sanchez, and this came in from MC Ifru. McCubs.
Yep.
Inter's attack is changing quite drastically. We're going to come on to Romelu Lukaku in due course. But Alexis Sanchez, with Dybala potentially arriving, even though that hasn't been announced yet, probably isn't really needed anymore at Inter, especially at his age.
No, I don't think so. The thing is with Sanchez is that, again, I don't know who takes him on. He's not on. Maybe MLS. And to be fair, an MLS club would be able to probably, at least some of the bigger ones would be able to probably stomach the wages that he'd demand. Obviously, he's not on I can't quite remember what kind of cut he took to go to Milan, to Inter from United. It was probably fairly significant. 7.5 million remaining on his contract at the moment. So, it's still a significant wage for a 33-year-old. But Dybala's just, obviously younger, a bit of an upgrade, I'd say. And I think, I do feel like Dybala and Lautaro could be quite a good strike partnership. I think Lautaro has developed into more of a goal scorer. Again, he's very hot and cold, but without the kind of sprees that he went on last season, Inter would have struggled, I think, to keep pace. I think that's an area of his game that's improving. Hopefully, we'll see that more next term. But I think, I feel like Alexis has probably had his time. I think if Inter can get something decent for him, if they can get like 5-10 million for him, they need to raise money, then fine. But I don't think it's not necessarily like essential for them. But getting him off the wage bill would certainly be useful, I think. But yeah, I think they've got pretty good kind of bang for their buck with him in terms of the 2 years he's had there, hasn't he? Like he's rarely been a regular starter, but like he's definitely he definitely refound his mojo at points, especially kind of playing kind of a bit more centrally and whatnot. Like he was a good link-up player, wasn't he, at points this season? So yeah, I think. I think Inter have done well with him, but yeah, I think it would be useful to get him off the books for sure. Yeah,
for sure. I think Galatasaray are also interested in, which feels very Galatasaray.
That's a Henry move, that.
Yeah, well, that's just Galatasaray.
Would you like that?
What, spending 7.5 million euros a year on a 33-year-old?
I think to clarify on the script, I should have clarified that he's got 7.5 million euros remaining, which I think might be 2 years.
That would be classic of Galatasaray to waste money on someone with zero resale value. But but yeah, sure, why not? He'd probably do quite well in the Super League. And the Galatasaray was so bad last year, anything can be better than what they put together.
He's had a kind of weird career, Alexis Sanchez, hasn't he? Like, he was so good at Barcelona and Arsenal, but the way he left Arsenal won't give him very fond memories.
It's one of the most dramatic drop-offs from world class to just not.
This is what I was going to say, because at one stage he was quite clearly like one of the top 10, 15, 20 attackers in the world.
He was the best. He was the best player in the Premier League at one point, I think. Like first season at Arsenal, he was like, unbelievable.
I don't think he'll be remembered that fondly by like any of his teams, except for maybe Arsenal.
His highlights reel for Barcelona is insane. Yeah. Even for Udinese before that, it's unreal. It's just how it went so horridly wrong and just became a player that no one could recognise. He looks fragile when he plays for Inter. You still see that. It's just something missing, isn't it? That tenacity which made him so interesting.
Well, was there an injury towards the end of his time at Arsenal that did kind of, he was dropping off towards the end.
Yeah.
I can't remember what fitness issue it was, but I think he definitely he lost his spark. He lost a lot of his pace as well, didn't he? He was super rapid before.
Another sliding doors moment if you joined Pep Guardiola's Man City. You just never know. Just never know. Right, let's move on to our next one. It's a controversial one, I think, this one. From @Bayern 18 München. He wants to get rid of Leroy Sané. It's either and or Serge Gnabry. I'm not quite sure. I'd suggest it's probably one of them. Yeah. Henry, what do you make about this one? Because Gnabry's situation is very up in the air, but I don't know why you'd probably include getting rid of Sané this year as well.
I saw in the comments a lot of people wanted Lewandowski. They were like, sell him, get rid of him as well. A lot of people are very angry at that. Loads of comments by this week. That was great to see. I mean, of the two, I'd be selling Gnabry. If he doesn't want to stay, just get some money for him. I mean, I think he's replaceable. I think he's a great player, but I think that they have the potential to find someone who could elevate themselves. He's not like elite level, Gnabry, and I think you could find someone. Well, he's very, very good, but I think you could find someone and elevate them towards Gnabry's kind of level. I just think Sané still was a big investment on their front. I think they've still got to kind of work with him there, and I think I still love Leroy Sané. Part of the greatest front three in Premier League history, actually.
Apparently so.
Words. Finally, someone speaking sense on this show.
I'm not agreeing with you. But yeah, I mean, 24 goals, 27 assists in 89 games for the club. I think that's pretty good. 0.6 goal contributions. I think if his place in the team was more kind of undisputed, I think we'd see a lot more from him. If Gnabry's refusing 19 million euros per season, I think he just wants a new experience. Yeah. Ultimately, that's what I've been reading. He just wants to go and try something new. I think that'd be really interesting. He's go and do it. It looks like they're giving players opportunities now. I'm so happy for Marc Roca finally getting some minutes away from Bayern next season. Now he's off to Leeds. I think they've got a few big transfers coming up because Bayern are entering an interesting point where I think a lot of the team that have been winning so comfortably over the last few years, it's about to be slightly broken up a little bit. Lewandowski going. Gnabry going, Thomas Muller's not getting any younger as well. So they need to start having a serious think about a rebuild, and they're going to have to start spending some serious money on players. You see how much of a stretch it is for them just to afford this Mane deal at the moment. So if they could get some big money for Gnabry, reinvest that in some younger players, then I think it'd be really interesting.
I think they should. they should take a punt on Ousmane Dembele as well. I don't know why they've not been linked with him so much. He'd be perfect on the right for them. That's his best position.
Great in the Bundesliga before.
Great in the Bundesliga before, exactly. What's it called? Leroy Sané could 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 be coached into more of a goal scorer. Like, we know he can be a really dangerous goal scorer as well. As Mandembele being the kind of prime creator there, Mane, playing through the middle at points. They probably would need to get another centre forward in. But I think those three as a front three it would certainly be interesting for sure. They might get in each other's way a bit. Would be the only thing, but I would love to see that.
I wouldn't be surprised if nearer the end of the window, if Real Madrid haven't sold players and bought in a new attacker, I wouldn't be surprised if Real Madrid had a proper look at Gnabry. Because at the moment you said they're interested, they're not sure, maybe. I think if it came to it and they were like, right, we need to get someone through the door, who can we maybe strike a deal with? Because Bayern tend to be pretty fair in the prices they charge when it comes to selling players. I wouldn't be surprised if Real Madrid had a look at Gnabry, and I think that would be a really good addition to complement Rodrigo on that side of the attack.
They definitely should, yeah. I think that elevates that attack so much, doesn't it? Like, yeah, for sure.
You're right that they kind of need to sell him if he won't sign a new deal, because you can't lose a talent at the peak of their powers for nothing. But at the same time, I just keep Sane and Gnabry together, to be honest. I don't think you're going to get two wingers for a reasonable price that have a love of Germany, clearly, have a love of the Bundesliga. They're playing for the biggest side in the Bundesliga, fully motivated, want to do their best for the German national team as well. I think the story with those two is really pretty good. And if Lewandowski hadn't decided to sort of abandon, Bayern and slightly screw them over quite late in the day, because they would have had their summer business plans already sort of organised by the time he announced he wanted to leave. I think he has done them a bit of a disservice. But other than that, I'd definitely keep Sane and Gnabry, to be honest. And apparently Gnabry's thing is not money, it's about where he feels like he stands within the team. Apparently he was annoyed that Bayern opened talks with Kimmich and Goretzka over new deals before him, which I find a little bit pathetic, to be honest, if that's actually the reason. Come on, different things get done at different times. But anyway, my point is I'd keep both of them, but these guys slightly disagree, that's all right. Let's move on to Aaron Ramsey. I think we'll all be in agreement about this one. This came in from @Ferdinando, maybe even actually. McCubs, what a weird spell at Juventus and a pretty disappointing one at Rangers as well.
Yeah, I mean, that penalty miss, wasn't it? I think we both watched that game, didn't we, together, Henry? And it was like, as soon as he stepped up, it was like, here as well, yeah. Shout out. With a very angry Rangers fan, that must be said, was sitting in front of us. Was
he angry with Ramsey specifically?
Well, he got up and left when Ramsey missed, basically. So that was quite entertaining. That penalty miss was just, it just kind of summed up his last few years, didn't it?
It's the most predictable disaster transfer ever. When it happened, everyone said, "Why on earth are they paying him £400,000 a week?"
Those were exaggerated.
I think I don't know if they were paying him that much, but they've definitely been paying him over £200,000 a week, which even in itself is more than I think he was on Arsenal. It was one of those ones. I was really excited for it because it was like a British player going to Serie A. And he's quite a stylish player as well, Aaron Ramsey. Like, it felt like a good fit in some ways going to a top Serie A club for him, but obviously, like, injuries are just, he's just so injury prone. He never really got a run. There was a point in 2019 where it looked like he could kind of break into the team, and he was linking up quite well with Ronaldo in particular, but this Juve team has just it's not really lent itself very well to creative midfielders, has it, in the last few years. And the loan move to Rangers, was very disappointing as well. 6 goals and 6 assists in 70 games in total for Juve as well. The only thing again with Ramsey, I think he's got 1 year left on his deal. It's no one's going to come in for him. I think maybe put him on loan somewhere. And try and get maybe some of the wages covered for the next year, but as auditions go, going to the SPL and not really having a particularly big impact is, I feel like he's kind of shot himself and Juve in the foot there. Don't really know what else is to say about him really. I just think his career is probably going to go out with a bit of a
whimper.
Yeah,
we got a Cardiff City or something like that.
Well, I was just thinking of a club that has a lot of money and not much sense, and I was thinking Fulham. Seriously, big upgrade on Tom Kearney, fully fit. Tom Kearney always bangs in the Prem.
No, I'd rather have the captain of Fulham, who's heart in the right place, than Aaron Ramsey. So.
Okay, enough said. That one that went down like a lead balloon. Henry does not want Aaron Ramsey, still dreaming of Milinkovic-Savic. Right, let's move on to Kalidou Koulibaly at the suggestion of @FinManCity. So the scenario is with Koulibaly is that they supposedly rejected, I think it was 100 million euros they were asking for or something. Man United were very interested in him in 2018, 2019 time?
Chelsea as well.
But now he's 30 and, there's this era change going on at Napoli right now. Insigne's leaving, Mertens is leaving. And for that reason, I'd be reluctant to also lose your best defender. But at the same time, if someone's willing to offer 30, 40 million pounds for him, maybe they've got a scenario where they have to kind of accept. I mean, whoever's in for him this summer seems to be changing by the day, but there was big interest from Barcelona beforehand. I mean, I don't want to put my house on it. Not like I own a house, but I wouldn't doubt that they'd be able to afford him. Chelsea might well come into him now. Koundé's needs surgery on a hip injury, I think. I don't think they'll manage to get Gvardiol, so maybe they'll go back in for him. But the Koulibaly situation's a little bit strange. I mean, Henry, do you think if you were Aurelio De Laurentiis, you'd look to sell him this summer, or do you think you need him for another year?
Yeah, I'd maybe sell him. I think because it looks like De Laurentiis is trying to slash the wages as much as possible. Looks, Fabian Ruiz in the midfield looks like he might leave as well. So it's all kind of, it's a shame at the moment. Even Osimhen saying he doesn't know what's going on at the moment at Napoli. So yeah, I think if Chelsea came in, and I think this would be a really good transfer for Chelsea, £30 million. If Chelsea came in and offered 30 million, I think they should snap their hand off, because at 30 years old, centre half, he's got good 3-4 years of at least until he starts really slowing down, I think. So I think £30 million might be a good investment for Chelsea at this very moment in time, because they just need centre halves through the door. And compared to Christensen, etc., he's not exactly a downgrade by any means of the imagination. Right? So yeah, I think if the offer is genuinely there, I think they should take it this summer, or give him a lifetime contract or something like that, one of the two. But it depends really what De Laurentiis is actually thinking about the club. He's deeply unpopular at the moment with everything that's been happening and the way that he's kind of stripping the team a little bit at the moment. And yeah, Koulibaly is a symbol of this Napoli side, so losing him would be maybe quite dangerous for him. I mean that, but but at the same time, if the money's there, yeah, take it. I think he'd be great at Chelsea. I really do.
Sorry, I was just going to say, what I think is a little bit surprising from a Chelsea perspective is that they're not going in for Skriniar. He'd be so good at Chelsea. He can play in a 3, he can play in a 2, he can do anything. Anyway, sorry, Matthias, what were you going to say?
Yeah, no, but yeah, I mean, either of them would be great buys for Chelsea. I think, it is mad to think just how much the asking price has depreciated since 2018, 2019. I think even the summer of 2020, they were still asking for that price, and obviously no one was going to pay it then. But I think the thing is with Napoli is that without significant investment, even if you keep this team together, I don't think they win Serie A. Milan and Inter are both going to get stronger next year. Juve, I think, will have a better year next year than they did in 21-22. So it's a tough one for Napoli. It feels like the opportunity to win Serie A was this year, and it hasn't happened. But I think the positive with Koulibaly is that if you can get, say, 40 million euros, then at least there are loads of really good young left-sided centre-backs in Europe. There's so many. I was trying to find, for this Newcastle video we did last week, I was trying to find right-footed centre-backs, because obviously Dan Burn's left-footed, Sven Botman's also left-footed. I was trying to find an alternative to Sven Botman, essentially. And it's really difficult to find a right footer. Dougie, you've put down here Evan Ndika, Benoit Badiashile, Abdou Diallo, all left-sided centre-backs. Diallo can play at left-back as well. There's a ton more that I can't, off the top of my head, can't remember. But yeah, there are a lot of options for replacements, and none of them are Koulibaly, but there are 2 or 3 out there who could get to Koulibaly's level by their late 20s for sure, would be good investments at this point, and are probably gettable for the kind of 40 to 50 million euro mark. Romani can play on the right or the left, so there are options in that sense.
Even Romagnoli for on a free transfer.
Maybe, I mean, as a short term kind of solution of sorts. Even then, I think, I don't know, Romagnoli wouldn't be a bad buy, but I don't think you could get him with a view to him being a regular starter every season. That back line really is quite important, I think, for Napoli kind of retaining their place in the Champions League, isn't it? So like they do need to get the right guy, but yeah, there are definitely options out there for them, I think.
Yeah, it would be a shame to lose him as well because he has really held together that Napoli backline. I'd never really particularly rated Manolas either or Rachmani. I don't think it's outstanding at least. So yeah, intriguing what will go on in Naples for the rest of this summer. Let's move on to Menez 18's suggestion. I think this is a weekly one at this stage. Alexis Sanchez. He sent this in before they've loaned Junior Messias to Crotone, I should say, on a 1-year loan, which I was quite surprised about because I thought he, by the end of the season, when he was alternating with Sanchez, probably looked like the more dangerous of the two and actually had some quite crucial contributions in some of those games. But Sanchez, he was so cheap to begin with. If they can flip him for the amount they got or slightly more, that's just sensible business. He never going to be an outstanding player. If they manage to bring in Asensio or someone of that ilk at their right winger, then that's probably a good piece of business.
Apparently they're very closely linked with Charles de Ketelaere.
Really?
Apparently they're 35 million euros looking at that, and I think that would be wicked transfer.
Yeah.
Amazing. He's very, very, very good. And also they're looking at Noah Lang as well, which is someone we were talking about.
Nice.
So Maldini seems to get it right every time at the moment in the transfer market. So Charles de Ketelaere, it's a lot of money. So if they could recoup some stuff for Alex Sanchez, who I've agree should go, could be upgraded. I'd rather them spend 35, 40 million on Ketelaere than on Asensio.
Yeah. Fair enough, there we have it. Nice one. Right, let's move on to the final one, which is Romelu Lukaku at the suggestion of Ken Sir 1581. McCabs, Lukaku, we're not really going to talk about it from a Chelsea perspective because I imagine they've done that on Football Daily for the last 2 weeks. But from an Inter Milan perspective, how do you think he would be greeted by Inter Milan fans if he went back there after a year? Would he be seen as a returning hero? Does it make them favourites for Serie A? How do you sort of see it playing out?
Yeah, I think he comes back as a returning hero. I don't think did he leave, I can't remember whether he left it. I don't think he left Inter on bad terms at all.
I mean, there were some banners being like, don't leave in the storm or something.
Oh, right, yeah. But, that's far, whatever. Like, Inter, like they pay, Inter accepted the 100, understandably, accepted 100 million euros for him. Say, like crazy money. Like, of course he was going to go. And he's basically been an Inter cheerleader for the whole season anyway. So, I think he would be welcomed back with open arms. Again, like to be fair, I kind of forgot about the Lukaku stuff when we were talking about Dybala earlier. Like I'm not quite sure how him, Dybala, and Lautaro would work necessarily. But I mean, if Dybala's happy to play as a number 10, then it could actually be great. Not quite sure what that does to the midfield, I guess it kind of does work. I'm just thinking that, like, when Conte was trying to work
outside Brozovic,
a lot of work. Brozovic and Barella would have to be more defensive as well, wouldn't he?
It'd have to be like a 3-4-3 with a sort of false nine.
Yeah. And I feel like Conte started to get stuff out of Eriksen in that position towards the end, but like it took a while, didn't it? I think I'm not. Yeah. Anyway, after that, obviously Simone Inzaghi is a different manager, but. I think, in some ways I kind of think Inter are favourites anyway. I think they've still got the best overall starting 11. Yeah, they've got the best. They've got the best midfield. I think they've obviously Skriniar leaving means the defence will need to be looked at. But I kind of have them. Yeah, I think they're slight favourites at the moment. Lukaku coming back would make them surefire favourites, I think, because he's capable of scoring 30 plus goals, and there's not really anyone else in Serie A apart from maybe Immobile who's capable of doing that.
Just on Inter,
Vlahovic as well, actually.
Because it says they need to raise 60 million. It looks like they're going to buy Bremer as a replacement for Skriniar if he goes to PSG. They've bought a midfielder from Empoli, who I can't remember his name, a really exciting Albanian.
Al-Sani,
yeah, apparently he's highly rated. I can't pretend to know tons about him. I saw in the comments a lot of people saying some people were saying Dumfries, they were happy to see him go.
Really?
Then De Vrij as well. I didn't see much of Bastoni, but it looks like that's gone quiet as well. I mean, would you Dumfries and De Vrij, these players that you consider moving on as well?
Well, I think if you're losing Skriniar as well, I'd be really reluctant to lose De Vrij, even though he, out of the three, probably had the most disappointing season last year. He was really good in their title-winning campaign, but I just didn't think he was quite at his best last year. So I'd be reluctant to lose two of the three. I think that's a complete defensive rebuild, which wouldn't stand them in particular stead. Dumfries, I think Dumfries actually had a pretty good season.
Yeah.
I know he got a lot of criticism, particularly online, but I actually thought he was pretty good. I think he's slightly better than Darmian. I think that's a good 2 options there. I'd probably be looking to move on like Stefano Sensi, Vecino, Gagliardini. You know, there's a lot of sort of average midfielders in there, even though I think Stefano Sensi at full fitness is really, really good. We just haven't seen enough of it over the last few years. So I think there's definitely more offcuts you could get rid of alongside Skriniar to sort of get easily enough money to cover the 60 million and bring back Lukaku, which is nuts. It is nuts. Like, they could potentially work this window really effectively. And if you also bring back Lukaku and you're confident that you'll get him permanently the next year, you could even potentially lose Dzeko.
I think you can definitely lose Dzeko.
Because they've got Joaquin Correa coming in permanently as well now.
Yeah, like that forward line doesn't really... It can't accommodate Dzeko at this point. I know he's really old and he's not, you know, but like, and they didn't get him for anything. But like, yeah, like I think Dzeko would probably want to leave. I think at that point, wouldn't he?
I think Caicedo's leaving as well. I think.
Okay.
So
Dzeko could go to most leagues, like MLS and etc.
Get him at Brighton.
Get him at Brighton.
What about back to Wolfsburg? You should go back to Wolfsburg.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
That'd be really fun. That is actually it for the main part of the show. I was going to ask a quick fire question by myself because I actually forgot to ask for quick fire questions this week. There's been a lot of chat about Gareth Southgate. We've just talked everyone else but England.
Yep.
Henry, what is your opinion on Gareth Southgate right now? I saw you were pretty feisty in the Football Daily chat. I don't know whether you were just doing a bit of Doogie Critchley fishing or whether you were speaking from the heart.
There was a bit of fishing going on. Yeah. No, I mean, I actually found it very funny. I was enjoying. I mean, it sounds really bad, but I think England have been due a hammering. I really do. I think a lot of their performances have just been sort of scraping by, quite boring. I mean, England are, dare I say it, very boring to watch most of the time. It's not a great watch, certainly outside the international tournaments when you're with your mates, etc. If you're just sat on the sofa by yourself, I mean, and just to watch Hungary just go out there and blitz us. Let's not forget, that is a massive result for Hungary. They'll be remembering that for a very, very long time. And I'm actually quite pleased with them. You saw how much they were celebrating at the end. They were great at the Euros. And so I think this idea that it doesn't matter, they're tired, etc. Yeah, they are. But they also shouldn't be losing to Hungary 4-0. That's the bottom line. That team, it doesn't matter who, they shouldn't be losing to Hungary 4-0 at home. There are people in, it sounds very like old-fashioned, but like, England don't go to Wolverhampton all the time. That was an amazing opportunity for those people to go watch England without having to trek it down to Wembley all the time, and they would have lost 4-0. It's a shambolic performance. To have only not scored a single goal, from open play in the 4 games in the Nations League. Sorry, we're good enough that shouldn't be a problem. I do think the season's too long. I do think it's ridiculous that they had to play 4 games, and you can see that slight trend across other people. But it's no excuse really for me. It was terrible, and it was almost just comical to watch the meltdown happen. Is Southgate the best manager for England? No, I think everyone knows that. But at this moment in time, is there anyone else?
Probably is the best manager for England.
But is he the very best? Sorry, is he the very best manager in the world? No, he's not.
Oh no, of course not.
He's a good manager for England. Are we going to change him now before the World Cup? No. Obviously not. So
I think that's the key point.
It's like I think he's got more than enough credit in the bank to ride the situation through. But I do think he shouldn't outstay his welcome. I think if there's an opportunity to get someone else in, if there's a younger, more hungry manager, is Graham Potter really the ideal solution? I'm not quite sure there. But I don't know why we're so adamant about it has to be an English manager. I really don't think it does. At this point, so many managers are coming and working in the UK. But I think after the World Cup, Southgate should consider his position. I think for the sake of, I think he has to accept that all good things come to an end, and I don't think he should go out on a relative high, which is after the World Cup. I'd like to see a change there. I'd like to see someone else given an opportunity.
Even if we reached like a quarter-final?
Quarter-final's not impressive.
Really?
It's not impressive with some of the players we've got.
Interesting. Okay, it sounds like Henry has, put his Southgate waistcoat like in the barbecue, but he hasn't quite lit it yet.
No.
McCubbs, where are you with your waistcoat? Is it still firmly on?
I'm a big Southgate fan, to be honest. I think the thing is with England, the thing is, in terms of England, England managers, I think for me, I judge them on the tournaments and almost nothing else. Like England have still been very comfortable in qualifying the Nations League. yeah, 4-0 to Hungary at home is obviously awful. What, was it? How long? What's that record?
1928 was it's our biggest home
was
defeat.
the last one.
Longer
Yeah.
than that.
Having said that, Hungary obviously do love playing England in England.
They do.
Famous 6-3
Puskas.
in the Puskas game, or whatever. But so history was on their side. But I didn't actually watch the 4-0. But I watched the 1-0 in Hungary, and that was bad enough. With Southgate, I think the thing is who else is actually out there who could replace him and do a better job? I don't know if there are many. I actually think Graham Potter would be a really good replacement for him, because I think he has quite a similar approach to kind of man management. And essentially, man management is more important, I think, in many respects than kind of tactical innovation at international level, because you get such little time with the squad. Being able to quickly build up a rapport with them is really, really important, and that's something that no England manager has done in our lifetime, really, or at least since Sven. I include Sven with that. I don't think Sven probably had the kind of rapport that he should have had with England players. I think probably a bit too soft on them. No one since Sven has had, has really commanded the respect of an England squad. I think someone like Graham Potter would be capable of that. But I don't really see him going for that job in the next years. And maybe I'm being a bit biased. Maybe I do back Southgate a bit too much. I think if England went out to a good team in the last 16 of the World Cup, I think it's still up to him essentially, and I think the FA probably would still keep him in a job. He's had the most consistent results at an international tournament of any England manager, really. At least in the more modern era. I think you can, in terms of consistency, you can compare him to Alf Ramsey for sure. So I think it's all a bit overblown. I think England fans just, I don't know, I feel like we're just a bit of a sport bunch at points. I think sometimes we want perfection. I can't remember. It was either.
No, it's been 4 games in a row.
4 friendlies.
It's not 4 friendlies, but it's 4 games against teams that are
very long season.
Yeah, but other teams have done all right. It's 4 games against tough opposition. You can't deny. A lot of our tournament football has been up against. We've had pretty good draws.
But we've always had good draws, and we've usually failed. We lost to Iceland, lost to
Uruguay,
mid 2000s Portugal on paper was
ones.
What, better than the golden generation?
No, the Iceland.
Oh right, yeah,
Iceland
for sure. But again, those
But we still should have on paper been beating Iceland. I think England fans are a little bit entitled, to be honest. I think we expect swashbuckling, attacking football, and winning the World Cup 3-0 in the final versus Brazil.
Which no one's ever done.
We have very good players, but most of the players we have who are very good are in their low 20s. Bellingham, Rice, Foden, Saka. These are all great players, but we are quite weak at centre back. We're quite weak in midfield in terms of depth. We've got James Ward-Prowse in the squad. You don't see I don't think Germany or Italy. Well, Italy won't be there, but Spain or Brazil, they won't have a James Ward-Prowse in their squad. I don't want this to turn into a James Ward-Prowse run. But Graham Potter as well. Why would he join England right now?
No.
He is geared up for a top 4 job in the next 4 or 5 years, definitely. Why would you go to join England where you get 2 weeks every couple of months?
It will be Eddie Howe once Newcastle bin him off at the first opportunity.
I don't mind Eddie Howe at some stage, but I just don't think Southgate deserves to have his job in question right now.
I think the one thing with Southgate is that the Euros last year, everyone was saying that he was picking the wrong teams, even that he managed to get Raheem. No one wanted Raheem Sterling in the team. He ended up putting in the greatest tournament performance any England player has ever put in. His team selection, he silenced the doubters at the Euros last year. But I do think if he goes to the World Cup and he picks a team, which no one's ever going to agree with his team selection because there's too many good quality players in that squad, especially in an attacking sense. If he picks a team and they do badly, and there are clear holes in his kind of tactical setup, then I do think the pressure will mount considerably. And I do think there could be a point where Gareth Southgate's actually like, you know what, it's not actually worth it. I'm actually going to resign.
Yeah.
I don't see the FA sacking him in almost any situation, but I could see that maybe happening.
Yeah, I'm not Rory Jennings. Southgate has to go. You know, pitchforks, etc. I do really love him. I think he's a good guy, and I think he's, as sort of public figures go, I think he's pretty great in terms of everything he stands for. But I just don't want like a vacuum love situation where it just fizzles out into sort of pathetic end, really. And I just think we have been sleepwalking towards this, and I think the Nations League was a minor expose of that. We've got a very easy World Cup group. If it goes wrong there, which I don't think it will, we should get through that group. We absolutely should get through.
Who would you is it Netherlands in the last 16 potentially?
We'll have to see,
let's not get ahead.
But it's I think
this is what England.
I think at some point, if he's still here at the next World Cup, I'll be shocked, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
I mean, that would be nearly 10 years in the role. I would be as well. But I take on all your points. Guys, let us know in the comments. Are you a little bit more sceptical about Southgate, like Henry? Do you think it's maybe a sign of things to come? Or are you like McCubbs and myself, who just think we shouldn't get too upset about a couple of very, very poor performances? It is worth saying, very, very poor. Even the draw against Germany, we were really outplayed. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments down below. And that's all we've got time for on Continental Club for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's actually turned into a pretty long and interesting episode, I thought, personally, anyway.
Yep.
Henry, what should they go and watch now?
Oh, me and Sam on Transfer Review, we were talking about Rafinha or Richarlison to Tottenham. Quite a good debate, that one, actually. And then discussing whether or not Dean Henderson is really relighting his career at Nottingham Forest. I'm not too sure. I think it's a potentially quite risky move. Although, who knows? Maybe he could be in goal at the World Cup. You just don't know.
He'll be busy.
Yeah,
McCubbs, thoughts? What should they go watch now?
Not really sure, to be honest. Go and check out our Explained. There was a good one on the weekend on Saka, Bukayo Saka. Go and show that some love. I know, like any England player isn't really, in vogue at the moment, but go and check that out because it's a really good video.
Nice. Thanks very much for watching, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.